Thanks for joining us. I'm Jasmine Brooks. All across our region, young people are preparing for a new chapter in their lives, graduation. And while it's a time for celebration, it is also a time to make wise decisions. Joining me today, we have Eden Brock, Caroline Majeski, Sylvia Chabala, and Vanessa Mohanan. Thanks, guys, for being here today. How are you guys?
Good, thank you.
All right, we're going to get started. Many schools provided students with a vivid reminder to make wise decisions in the weeks leading up to prom and graduation. So a mock crash at Wallenpaupack High School had a visual impact on students right before their prom. Check it out.
You're my friend too!
Screaming for help, crying in fear, this car accident right side of the Wallenpaupack High School is creating panic. Students inside the car aren't responding, and this elder woman inside another car is lifeless. Ultimately, this car accident claims the life of 2 people. Every component of this tragedy seems so real, but this is only a mock crash. We spoke with the president of SAD, or Students Against Destructive Decisions.
Car crashes are the leading cause of teen death in the United States. So having that statistic right there, that's why we focus so heavily on safe driving.
This scenario involves students returning home from prom.
Boyfriend and girlfriend, and they were arguing. So the argument got violent, and it caused them to T-bone that passenger, or that car.
Within just minutes, real first responders show up on scene, and even the coroner is called.
I think the hope is always that if you reach one person, one kid, to make a right decision, that's the goal. Of course, we want them all to be safe, but certainly if we can reach somebody to make a good decision, that's our goal.
Soon enough, a medevac helicopter lands. Students watching are silent.
This is very important, and it's had a huge impact on the students in the past, so being able to have these activities and be able to put the message out there that distracted driving really is dangerous, it's very important.
Watching the mock crash unfold before their eyes is scary, but this really happens. And for first responders, it's not easy to deal with, especially when it involves young people.
You got to try to deal with the ones that are still alive screaming over their friends. It's a very hard situation, and it's never a good one.
Ruined your life, exactly!
As this traumatic scene unfolds, students take it all in. Haley Gasparine was an actor in this mock crash. Her role was to call for help.
It was definitely surreal and definitely very eye-opening. I've never made a 911 phone call, so it was scary for me, even though it was just acting, but it definitely brought a lot of emotion, and I felt something in my heart that I was actually very, very sad.
Other students tell us what they got out of this mock crash.
It's just a great way to just see the consequences of making a decision that could completely destroy not only your but someone else's life.
Of course, it's not going to hit everybody, but I believe that what we do today is very important, and I feel like we've affected a lot of students in a very good way. Not a lot of students realize what the causes and effects are of drinking, driving, drugs, alcohol, texting and driving. No one really knows that, but today was a really good example of what that really is.
A lot of the time when teachers say, don't drink and drive, don't distracted driving, students aren't going to take it seriously, so we have to do something that's really going to hit them in where it counts, in the heart.
And it seemed really realistic and seemed to portray what happens when you make a poor decision behind the wheel.
Don't drink and drive. Don't do drugs, alcohol, texting and driving. None of that. Just don't do it. It's a bad idea.
Wow, now that was just a mock crash. So what are some of your thoughts, automatically after seeing that, especially with distracted driving? Not just around prom season, not just around graduation season, but all the time. What are your thoughts on that?
It's scary. I mean, you never think that something like that could happen to you, but it could. So especially as you're getting ready to drive or learning to drive, it's something you really need to keep in mind.
And Sylvia, what were some of, the things in that story that really stuck out to you visually?
Visually, probably the girl on the cell phone, like how frantic she was. Just, if something like that happened to you or a friend, I couldn't imagine, which is, why you need to take every precaution you can.
Anything else that really, got your attention there?
This is actual real life. This could actually happen. Like, it's not, they're not just making it up. This could be, you could be in that situation, and that's really scary to think of, I think.
Absolutely. Sometimes being in the car when your friend or family member is texting while driving, it can get uncomfortable, I think. You want to tell them, but it can be uncomfortable. What do you say to them? What do you guys do in that kind of situation if you see somebody texting?
I have a friend, and actually whenever I get in the car with her, she will either put her cell phone in the back seat or she'll give it to me. So that's not a problem, but I think it's important to speak up because you're messing with lives. Cars are dangerous things, and people don't realize that.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you? You think you could stick up for yourself and say, hey, put the cell phone down?
Yeah, usually if I'm in the car with someone, they're texting, I just tell them it could wait.
Yeah.
Because it can't be that important. I mean, if it's really important, you could pull over and just...
Very good, girls. All right, let's move on now. During the week leading up to the prom, the Tamaqua Area High School student government and students actually participated in a number of events to prepare them to make smart choices. Check it out. It's no secret that drinking and driving or being distracted in any way behind the wheel is a deadly combination. But it's a message that's being strongly reinforced at Tamaqua Area High School. Students are participating in a number of events before heading to prom.
I think it's a great simulation throughout the week of the different things and different consequences of drunk driving and also distracted driving.
As a part of Grim Reaper Day, one student every 12 minutes will get their face painted white and refrain from talking for the rest of the day. Each student represents someone killed by a drunk driver. This particular exercise is a real eye-opener, and high school principal Stephen Toth feels it's working.
The proof is in the pudding, and you see that with the national average going down.
Students are tying red ribbons to their vehicle as a reminder to be safe behind the wheel. They're signing a key to pledge not to drink and drive. They even have the chance to try on goggles that instantly impair their vision, simulating being intoxicated. But when the time comes, will these teens make the right decision? High school senior Beth Kistler says, absolutely.
It's easier to say, hey, do you want me to send that for you? You're driving, let me take the phone, I'll send it for you.
After talking to many of the students here at Tamaqua Area High School, the main reason that they're going to make the right decision when getting behind the wheel is because they simply have too much to lose.
We've all worked very hard to get to the point that we're at, and to get a diploma is a big thing for all of us. And it's stupid just to risk that all for sending a text to a friend or uploading a picture to Facebook or getting behind the wheel under the influence.
Being behind the wheel of a car while texting is a dangerous mix. Consider this, it takes just 5 seconds to take your eyes off the wheel and tragedy can happen. Up next, we'll talk with James May of PennDOT about keeping your eyes on the road and your hands on the wheel.
Teens Making Smart Choices is brought to you by Prom Excitement, Northeast PA's premier prom store. The staff at Prom Excitement would like to wish everyone a safe prom and graduation. By Sky Zone in Scranton. Ensure your safe graduation by booking your party at Sky Zone Scranton. Have fun and fly safe. And by Savvy by Sarno & Son. It's time to celebrate. Graduation is right around the corner. Your friends at Savvy Formal Wear by Sarno & Son are asking all of you celebrating to make responsible choices. Be safe and be happy.
$199 billion, according to the organization Mothers Against Drunk Driving. That's how much driving costs our country each and every year. But when someone we know was hurt, or even worse, killed by a drunk driver or distracted driver, the price we pay is much higher. Take a look.
It's very scary because not every day you think about how scary it is to be on the road or how one stupid mistake could really affect you, and so that's why it's scary.
Students and faculty at Tamaqua Area High School are sharing their stories of danger behind the wheel.
Having to see that firsthand, dealing with the parents and their loss, and some of the things that were really tough, like cleaning out a locker, being there with the parents when that was going on.
And it was very traumatic for all of us. We were all screaming, and it was a bad situation.
For high school senior Kyle Weaver, a trip to the mall with some friends turned into an experience he'll never forget. Kyle says it was another driver who was distracted, but he and his passengers were the ones who ended up paying the price.
Although we were at a complete stop, the driver that was driving in the southbound lane was very tired. She had just worked a double shift.
That woman hit a deer that ran onto the road, and the deer slammed straight into Kyle's car.
It was a real eye-opener for us, although we weren't seriously injured. Unfortunately, the car wasn't the same, but it really showed us what it's like and what the dangers of distracted driving can do.
For Beth Kistler, it was her father who was involved in a crash.
My dad was driving, and a drunk driver came around the corner and actually hit him.
Beth immediately started to worry.
I was sad and upset, and I was confused because why drink and drive? It's just a bad idea and a bad decision to make. And seeing the car just hits me harder.
Thankfully, her dad was all right, but the crash still haunts her.
It was just a big impact on my life because this happens each year. And I mean, it affected me, but now it affects me even more because you know how it affects everyone else's life.
Unfortunately, Tamaqua Area High School has lost students to drunk and distracted driving over the years.
We probably went through, it's hard to say, I would probably say a 7 to 8 year period where every year, every summer, you were going to another funeral of a former student, of a current student. And when something like that happens in a school district, it's incredibly traumatic.
We don't want to lose any of our students. Unfortunately, it does happen sometime, and when it does, it really hits home. Because of the community, because of the students that we have, we're very close, we're very tight-knit, and you know, when it does happen, it hits everybody.
When tragedy strikes, the school brings in grief counselors to help students cope.
It's not something that the students deal with easily. It's not something that faculty deals with easily either.
Students we spoke to say their future is what keeps them from making destructive decisions now.
Graduation is important to them. Life is important to them. They want to see future success. So, you know, those kinds of things help deter some of the decisions that we don't want them to make.
Now I know, Eden, you're a new driver, and then Sylvia and Vanessa, you're about to get your permits soon. So what are some things that you are now, you know, thinking about when getting behind the wheel? What are some things that you think may distract you?
For me personally, it's just the radio and like air conditioning. You can get very easily distracted by that, and you just have to realize that you're not the only one on the road and that it affects other people, not only your lives, but if you're driving other people, it affects them, and it affects people around you if you're not paying attention.
Now that you have your license and people get into your car, do you make sure your friends buckle up? And if they don't, what do you say?
I am personally like very strict about buckling up because I don't want that guilt on me if I do get in an accident. I mean, I feel like I'm a very safe driver, but I don't want that guilt on me if it does end up happening, and so I make sure that everybody's buckled up.
Absolutely. And how about you guys? You know, when you get into the car, are you always buckling up?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, just before prom and graduation season, the McCann School of Business and Technology gave local students a lesson in safety. And it came from all across the region where students were able to test their abilities on driving distracted or under the influence by getting behind the wheel of a simulator. They also heard from mom and dad advocate Eileen Miller, whose son's life was cut short by a distracted driver. Now, a police officer talked to the students about making good decisions when getting behind the wheel. And during that session at McCann, students also took the No Text NEPA pledge. Eyewitness News invites you to take the pledge not to text and drive, just like these students did. You can find more information on our website, pahomepage.com. Texting and driving is very common, not just for teens, but adults too. Right now, I'm joined by James May of PennDOT, and we are here to continue to talk about safety, of course. So how many crashes involved young people and distracted driving? That's one question I have. First of all, I mean, why just single out teenage drivers when you have adults texting behind the wheel too?
Obviously, everybody needs to be safe behind the wheel. And one of the things I always think about is that those of us who are older drivers, we're much more used to driving, but we're much less used to texting and using our phone. Young people are very used to using their phones, but obviously they're new to the whole driving experience. And it's just very important that when they're starting off, that we're starting them off with very good driving habits. And then hopefully those habits, if they learn them early on, they can carry those into later years when they're adult drivers.
Absolutely. And so I think, you know, for everybody behind the wheel, it can be sometimes uncomfortable for their passenger to call out the driver, you know.
Right.
But of course, you're encouraging everybody to do that. Tell us a little bit about, you know, you have a saying. You say pass, right?
You know, when my middle son Isaiah was learning to drive, I was going through with him and trying to help him understand the big things that we see within PennDOT as far as the critical issues. One of the toughest parts of our job is every day we go through the news clips of things that happen on the state roads, and we see so many incidences in which young people lose their lives because of decisions that they made. And I was walking through some of these things with him, and I said, you know, if you'd keep your phone in the back, you buckle up, and I was going through all of these things, and it dawned on me that it makes a nice acronym. And
Absolutely.
so I told him, I said, you know, even if you pass your driver's license, remember the acronym PASS. First of all, your phone. Keep your phone in the back seat. It's great to have it with you, but if you can put it in the back seat or give it to somebody else so that when it buzzes or rings that you're not tempted to reach over and grab for it. Keep your phone in the back seat. The A is to stay alert, and also A could also stand for alcohol. Make sure you don't drink and drive at all, that you never have any drugs or alcohol, or you don't get in the car with somebody else who is drinking and driving, so that you can stay alert.
Sure.
Third, speed. Make sure that you're always obeying the speed limit. And then finally, seatbelt. Make sure you buckle up. We see so many young people who lose their life because they didn't follow one of these 4 points here, with keeping the phone in the back seat, not drinking and driving, obeying the speed limit, and buckling up. And if they would just follow those 4 things, the vast majority of the crashes in which young people lose their lives could be avoided.
And just talk a little bit about that importance of buckling up.
I tell you, as the PennDOT guy,
Yeah.
It's obviously my job to go around and encourage people to buckle up, encourage people to practice safe driving habits. As a dad, one of the scariest moments of my life, and you know, I spent some time in the military, time in Iraq. By far, the scariest moment of my life is when you finally watch your teenager drive down the driveway and make a left out into the road, and you think, this is a really scary time. And you think about, you want them to be safe and you want other people on the roads to be safe. And one of the things that's really important is if you're driving and you see someone who's, you know, maybe going a little bit too slow, maybe making a couple of mistakes, it might be one of the young people that you had up here on the set before who's just starting off, just learning to drive. So, you know, as parents, we have a responsibility to make sure that we're teaching our kids. The drivers have a responsibility, but everybody else on the road has a responsibility as well.
All right, James May from PennDOT, thank you so much for being here. Students at a Luzerne County high school, they took the prom pledge recently. It's a program aimed at saving lives by showing young people what can happen if they make bad decisions. Lead I-Team reporter Andy Maholchik reports from Hanover Township.
It is called the Prom Pledge. Its mission is to keep young people safe during the prom and graduation season. Seniors and juniors from Hanover Area High School in Luzerne County played host to the event, sponsored by the law firm of Fellman and Sirimboli from Kingston. These students are asked to sign a pledge that they will make good decisions when it comes to celebrating. They were shown the tragic results when somebody drinks and drives. A video presentation detailed crashes that occurred in northeastern and central Pennsylvania, including in Hanover Township. That crash claimed the lives of young people. Students here say they got the message.
I think it's very important to keep students aware of how serious this issue can be, especially with all the events coming up, prom, graduation, and everything in between.
I think it's really important because it gives the students a sense of awareness of what could really go wrong on prom night. It actually raises awareness for drunk driving.
Attorneys Ed Sirimboli and Greg Fellman have sponsored the Prom Pledge for the past 5 years and have reached out to more than 20,000 students.
These are great young adults. They're not kids anymore, and what we want them to understand is that the decisions that they're going to make have consequences, have real-life consequences.
It's very important. We understand that it's prom season, it's graduation, it's senior week, it's a busy summer, but you have to be responsible. You have to be safe.
And the message here is clear. Stay away from booze and drugs or anybody who is drinking and driving.
We want everybody to just have a terrific time at their prom, but we want them to do it safely. We don't want them to be drinking. We don't want them to be doing drugs. And most importantly, we don't want them to be getting into a car with anybody that's been under the influence of alcohol or drugs. That's the most important thing.
People in that car are not sure they remember. This reporter was asked to talk about some of the tragedies I have covered involving teenagers over the past 35 years. Now, some students even made up a rap song for the Prom Pledge event.
Kind of freezing up on the mic, but I know I'll be safe at prom night. Said, being cool, go to school, said, be smart, don't be a fool.
And there's no doubt about it, the Prom Promise event here at Hanover Area High School was a fun event. They're having lots of fun. But the bottom line is it's all about saving lives. Reporting at Hanover Area High School in Luzerne County, Andy Mahalchik, Eyewitness News.
And more information on this program can be found on our website, pahomepage.com. And while you're there, we encourage you to take the No Text NEPA Pledge. A mock crash was held at Pocono Mountain East High School. The reality of the situation is really hitting home with the students and even for our Eyewitness News team. Eyewitness News reporter Lori Monteforti and photojournalist Lonnie Miller actually played a reporting team covering a violent wreck involving teens.
Oh my God, what did I do? Leroy, Jackie, Luna.
A few drinks turned into a fatal situation in this mock crash.
911, what's your emergency?
We got in a really bad crash, we need help.
Emergency workers rushed to the scene. A crowd of students watched as their classmates and friends got taken away in a police car, a medical helicopter, and body bags.
That was scary. Yeah. I wouldn't want to see my friends in a car accident.
That's why we try to make it as graphic as we can so that the kids really do get a feel of what, a fatal accident actually looks like.
While the crash, this blood, and the actors were all fake, the message the students are trying to send is very real.
Even if it saves just one life, it's really important to the school.
Police, firefighters, emergency dispatchers, and the coroner's office all volunteered at this event because they say they see scenes like this in real life and they want to prevent them.
This really does happen. I really do pick up these people, these children.
Yeah, be advised all patients have been extricated.
The students hope they got their message across and everyone has a safe prom season.
Your actions impact your friends, family, and community.
In Pocono Summit, Laurie Monteforti, Eyewitness News.
And we remind all you drivers out there to please be careful when getting behind the wheel. One more time, James, you have a saying, pass.
Remember, pass, phone in the back seat, alcohol, stay alert by avoiding alcohol. Make sure you don't speed and always wear your seatbelt.
Absolutely. I want to thank all you guys for joining us today. Thank you so much. And we want to actually thank you, of course. And for more information on today's show, you can head to our website, pahomepage.com. While you are there, we invite you to take the NEPA Pledge. We hope we inspired you to make some wise and safe decisions during graduation season and always. I'm Jasmine Brooks. Thanks for joining us today.
It's just a great way to just see the consequences of making a decision that could completely destroy not only your but someone else's life too.
I think it's very important to keep students aware of how serious this issue can be, especially with all the events coming up, prom, graduation, and everything in between.
Try to deal with the ones that are still alive screaming over their friends. It's a very hard situation and it's never a good one.
I think the hope is always that if you reach one person, one kid to make a right decision, that's the goal.